So joining us is Republican National Committee Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel. Ronna, you just heard what we were talking about. You've got people moving from blue states to red states, but they often still vote for the same policies they were escaping. I mean, we've seen it in Arizona, for example. It's turned a lot more purple over the years. So I want to ask you, how are you going to make sure this red state draw turns into more votes?
Well, we are seeing this migration to red states because of Republican governors with lower taxes. They kept their schools open. They believe in school choice. They've kept their economies open, and they're booming. In Florida and Texas, for example, they've added 400,000 new people in the past year, where California and New York have lost close to 300,000. So Florida and Texas actually are getting redder. They are going to those states and voting Republican. What I do think this means, though, is for the presidential election, electorally, that path is going to run through independents in some of these blue and purple states where Republicans are fleeing to red states, and that's something that we definitely have to keep our eye on.
Ronna, there's going to be a newly closely watched Fox Business poll, newly released, rather. It's going to be released on Sunday, showing that candidate performances in Iowa and South Carolina, those are going to be very important in determining who moves forward to ultimately get the nomination. How many candidates do you think will be on that debate stage? Will we see anybody drop out early?
You know, right now the candidates are working so hard. We've seen a lot of them make this $40,000 small dollar donor threshold, which I think is just a building block. If you can't raise $40,000 in small dollar donations or 40,000 different small dollar donations, you're not going to be competitive against Joe Biden. So they're doing really well. You're going to have this poll. We've seen several polls come out, but it looks like 7, 8, maybe even 9 people will make that debate stage.
I want to ask you about this, Ronna. A new Quinnipiac poll showing nearly half of voters would consider a third-party presidential candidate if Trump remains the GOP frontrunner. Now, I think this is the most interesting part of this race so far. You watch somebody like RFK Jr. yesterday. I thought that hearing was fascinating. He's obviously a candidate on the Democrat side, but anything could happen. You mentioned independents a second ago. 64% of them in this poll said they're open to a third-party candidate. That sounds high to me, but nevertheless, how concerned are you that a third-party candidate in 2024 could really throw this race wide open?
So, I'm watching this third-party discussion happen, but the person that's being put forward is a Democrat. It's a Democrat Senator, Joe Manchin. He's leading this No Labels group. I think this is a rebuke of Joe Biden, that he has a Democrat incumbent senator potentially running against him as a no labels candidate, somebody who votes with Biden 90% of the time. Then you have RFK Jr. I think more than anything, these numbers are showing the weakness that Joe Biden has, that he's being flanked not only within his own primary, but potentially from this third party bid from Joe Manchin in his own party.
Ronna, President Trump continues to gain momentum every time the Justice Department goes after him, not only with his base, but also with their pocketbooks and his donations. Your thoughts on where he stands so far heading into that first debate?
Well, I do think many Republicans feel like there's a two-tiered system of justice. We're hearing this, we're seeing this, especially when you talk about the hearings yesterday, when you saw that potentially $20 million was funneled to Hunter Biden and the Biden family through 20 different LLCs. It's really corruption at the highest level of our government. And then you see what happened to President Trump. And I think a lot of Republicans are very dismayed by one system of justice for Republicans, where they are persecuted to the full extent of the law, and then Democrats are given a slap on the hand.
Ronna McDaniel, we've got a conversation going right here that's going to last a very long time. We appreciate your perspective. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, guys.